When it is extremely hot, carbon fibre can deform. So just how hot are we talking? Well, carbon itself is generally unaffected by heat under 300 degrees, but the epoxy can soften in temperatures as low as 60 degrees. That said, this isn't relevant to braking surfaces on carbon fibre wheels because they use a much more heat-resistant epoxy in their construction. We often get asked here at CBR, is it okay to leave my bike by radiator? Generally the answer to that is yes, as domestic radiators will not produce enough heat. However, you want to be careful when your bike is on a car rack, for example, as we've seen examples here where a bike's been hanging on the back of the rack with the exhaust underneath it, and the exhaust has destructive levels of heat and that can cause damage to frames. In terms of riding in hot temperatures, you want to make sure that you keep your bike clean, as the salt in your sweat can cause corrosion to components and also ingress in the lacquer, which affects the paint, but it generally won't affect the carbon itself. You want to pay particular attention around cable guides, because if you don't keep those scrupulously clean, then they can see solid when they corrode, and that's not a fun job for a mechanic or yourself to have to sort out. And again, it's to prevent any ingress from getting under the lacquer. Moving on to the cold, a question we often get asked is it safe or advisable to ride a carbon frame in winter? And there's a lot of misinformation out there. But yes, carbon frames are very suitable for riding in the winter. The key thing again to bear in mind would be to keep your bike clean, again for the same reasons as why you would do so in the summer. And also there's the obvious risk of falling off on ice in the cold. What is important to consider though are the economics of riding in winter with the group set and components that are fitted to the frame. Salt and grit eat through components, especially in the winter if you don't maintain them, so having a dedicated winter bike with lesser parts could be a wise thing to invest in, and then you keep the nicer bike for the summer. This is something that I do, so I've got a winter bike. I find it's cheaper to replace components when they wear out on that bike, and I haven't got to worry about replacing expensive parts on the nicer bike when I trash it in the winter. And also it's quite a nice feeling after you've been training on a heavy frame all winter to then go onto a nice lightweight frame. And also you should try and clean your bike at the end of every ride in the winter. Ultimately, the weather shouldn't stop you from riding. Misuse and abuse is worse than what nature can throw. So as long as you bear these tips in mind, you are more than welcome and free to go outside and enjoy the weather on your favourite carbon bike. Hopefully you guys have found these tips useful, and if you've got any questions or comments then please leave them below and we'll be sure to answer them. And if you like this content and what you're seeing on the channel, then please like and subscribe for more videos.